Hello everyone, welcome to TUTORIEX, and in this video I'll tell you about something called updater function that's you can find inside useState. So here I'm just rendering this tutorial one component that's coming from this code, and I'll first explain the code. So here you can see I'm defining a state variable that is count, and the initial value is 0. I'm just logging that value of count here, and there's a function that will be triggered when I press this button increment 5 times. What this function is doing, it's running a for loop and updating the set count to count plus 1, so it's running 5 times. First you have to understand this useState function by default updates the state of the component asynchronously. When you use this setCount function and update the count to a new value, it will schedule an state update, not just update immediately, schedule and state update. Then it will execute rest of the code for that component, and then after all the code are executed, then the state will be updated. So count value is initially 0, and I'm pressing this button and it's looping for 5 times, right? And count plus 1. So let's see what happens. I'll give you a live example. So the initial value is 0, and I'll inspect this page also. If I click increment 5 times, you see only increased by 1. So what exactly is happening? It's running the loop count plus 1, count plus 1, count plus 1, count plus 1 for 5 times, but for every time the count value is 0, because the state is not updating until the code of this component are fully executed. If I even console log it the value of count here, now if I come here and refresh the page, set it to 0, and I click here, you see 5 times this was printed 5 times, right? The value is 0, because unless the full code of the component is executed, it won't update to new count value. So that's where the updater function comes in play. So the updater function that I'm talking about somewhat looks like this. It will take an input, let's say prep count, and I'll return prep count plus 1. When I'm using this updater function, it's taking the prep count value, so that will be the latest previous step. So every time I set a set count like plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, it will take the latest previous value. It will not wait for the state update, it will take the latest previous value. So first time the count will be 0. So let me print also console log value of prep count. Let's print, so you'll understand it better visually. So if I refresh the page and click here, you will see prep count is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's how the updater function works. So keep this one in mind, like whenever you are using useState function, that there is a thing called updater function, and that's how it works. I showed you a very simple example. It can be very complicated real fast. So that's it for this video. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.